Professional Realty Group with BHHS Ambassador Real Estate and Gary Michaels Clothiers.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. It's time to go one-on-one with DP. Coming at you live from the Koppel Chevrolet GMC studios. Here is your host, Derek Pearson. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome to One-on-One from Indianapolis. Scott Frost is now up on the big board. Rico, he's up on the big stage. Is there any chance we can get to that? Is that possible? Okay. Let's join in again, 402-464-5685. Starter Heyman text line, Honda Lincoln hotline. We will get you the clips and otherwise from this. For anything that you will miss, we'll make sure that you get the full the full speech. Starter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685. Honda Lincoln hotline. The Starter Heyman live video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter live. And I would jump on the stream. This is a day to be on stream if possible. Lots of goings on, several cameras working, and lots going on here from Lucas Oil Stadium. Trev Alberts is in the room, of course, holding court currently, and Scott is doing his thing. Trev's going to let Scott talk, and then he'll stop by here. We'll have Barry Alvarez in the hour. We'll have some more Husker players within the hour as well. So buckle in, stay tuned, and do your thing. Let's bring in Charlie Meyer from the Lincoln Salt Dogs on the Honda Lincoln hotline. Charlie, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How about you, DP?
It's a good day. You know, it's a good day. We're in Indianapolis, Big Ten Media Days. You've been at this sort of thing. You understand the importance of messaging and presence in this space. I'm going to put you in Scott Frost's shoes for a second, Charlie. I'm going to ask you to speak. I'm going to ask you to speak to Husker Nation in the voice of Scott Frost. What do you want and wish for the Huskers football program? Let's go.
Well, obviously we all want continued success, and hopefully they can turn it around here. I know it's been probably really frustrating for him the past three or four seasons here, and hopefully they get off to a good start here over in Ireland. It's a good indication of what the season may hold for them. But it's it's one of those things when you're putting the puzzle together each and every year with your recruits, and similar to what we do with putting players together on the rosters. You hope they can perform and make things happen for you, and that's really, I guess, when I look at what Scott and the Husker football program has to look at, is that they need to start performing to make things happen at Memorial Stadium this summer or this fall.
It's an interesting thing that leadership in sports, there are common traits that cross over from sport to sport, position to position. When you're around elite people, what are the qualities that jump out at you to let you know that, in fact, you are in elite company when it comes to an athlete, coach, or an executive?
Well, I think it's, having a vision, obviously, and I think the other key thing is being able to communicate, throughout the organization. Our philosophy here at Haymarket Park is, we're one team, whether it's the front office or the team on the field. We're all going to win together. We're going to lose together, and we all go to battle together. And I think when you look at leaders and that type of thing, it's all about leading to make progress. And I look at Brett Jody and my coaching staff. It's a matter of when we start the season that we continue to improve throughout the season, and those traits as far as leading people along and believing in what you're trying to accomplish here, that we all have one common goal to win a championship. That it's, like in our league, there's 12 teams. There's only going to be one that's going to end up at the end of the year with not losing a game and being a champion. And similar to what's happening in the Big Ten with Scott and all the other university programs, as far as everybody's trying to lead to a championship and continue to show progress each and every week when they're playing. As far as we're doing every game we're in, we're hopefully we're continuing to prove and be better as the season goes along.
How does this thing happen? How does a program or an organization change its location and elevation? Like, you guys have a pretty high standard with the Salt Dogs. You expect success on a high level, and then there's friction, and then there's quicksand, right? When you start to struggle, the harder you struggle, the deeper you go. But from a leadership standpoint, how do you push this thing? How do you reload an organization and a coach? How do you get that done?
Well, I think the key thing is, it's all about attitude and having a positive attitude. You're going to run into situations where you can't control injuries. You can't control, when people get hurt, or, a situation where people get picked up. Basically, we got to plug and play and find someone else to fill those shoes for a player, and hopefully we find a player that can compete. I think that's the key thing, is that you find people that have the desire to want to compete and to get better each and every day. But it all starts with the attitude. I think when you think about life, and it's about 10% of what happens to you, and 90% of it is how you react to it. And I think how you react to situations, and when times are tough, it's all about how you react to it. And I think reacting in a positive way gives you a much better chance of success. But it's one of those things that, you're trying to find people that match up to your philosophies and your leadership style and your vision of what you really want to try to create. And so it's a matter of, what I would say earlier, it's plugging and playing, and make sure you've got people that have the same goals and same ideas and same positive attitude. Those things go a long ways as far as success in my eyes.
We're talking to Charlie Meyer of the Lincoln Salt Dogs, and you guys are home this week and got an opportunity to turn things around and kind of redirect. Who's in town, and what can we expect?
Well, we got Milwaukee Milkmen are here for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Fargo that's leading our division. They'll be here on the weekend, and then we have Gary coming in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So we've got a 9-game homestand here, and starting today, and the weather looks great, and we're making some moves with the roster, and hopefully to make a run here for the last month of the season. And we got added some pitching, and we're going to add a bat here, a couple of new bats that we got coming in for players that'll be here this week. And so trying to, again, like I said, plug and play and make a run here for the remainder of the season. We've got 18 home games left, and we got about 40 games left on the season. Where we're at, sitting here in the fourth spot in the division. So if today was to end the season, we'd be in the playoffs. That's really kind of what our goal is here, is to continue to solidify our position and get into the playoffs. And you never know what's going to happen once the playoffs start.
It's going to be an interesting run. Again, you're home for a long stretch, change of rosters. What can you tell us about some of the new additions to the roster?
Well, we picked up a pitcher that was with a college pitcher that didn't get drafted, and he's a left-hander, and he's in the low 90s as far as, and he'll be a starting pitcher that we'll be bringing on to later this week. And I think he'll probably start the Thursday or Friday is kind of what we're planning for. We picked up Jason Rogers, a veteran hitter that was on our roster, and he was actually sitting on our inactive list and had some family situations, so he didn't join the team back in May. And so now he's going to be joining us here at the end of July here and for the month of August. So we're excited about having him be a part of the team. Those are two people that we got, and we got Raider Scagno, a shortstop that we picked up from the Atlantic League that they'll have a AAA, AA time that I think he'll be an added bat for our lineup. So we're excited about what's happening here this week, and we'll see how things play out. And again, like I said, we're hopeful that we're plugging and playing the right type of things, but we won't know till we get on the field and start playing. So we'll see what happens this week.
What's the promotional stuff going on at Haymarket Park?
Well, we got this week. We've got the traditional Triple Play Tuesday today with Nebraska Medical Association. Break 3 non-perishables, and you get a GA ticket. And we got Winter Wednesday, Thursday, Fireworks Friday, and then we got baseball card set giveaway on Friday, and then we have a Marvel night with some Marvel characters on Saturday, and then it's Family Fun Day on Sunday. So those are the promotions that are coming up, and we're excited about here we are at the end of July, and the weather looks like it's not going to be as brutally hot as it was this past week, which we were thankful we were on the road. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So now we're back home, and it looks like it's going to be mid-80s all week, so should be good. Great weather to come out and watch the Salt Dogs.
Charlie, can you have some of those cards dropped off for the station so we can give some away? Is that possible?
Sure. Yeah,
because I think
I'll pull some of those cards, and I will get you some baseball card sets, and I'll get those off to the station to you.
Yeah, and we'll give them away with our 4 tickets that we have to give away.
Sure.
We'll have Rico and Nick give those away. Charlie, have a great weekend. I won't be there for BP. I'll be in Dallas, but
okay.
Eric Strickland is there. He's going to handle it. Steve Taylor will be there as well. We'll have a full lineup for you. Kevin Meyer from Meyer Cork and Bottle. We've got some folks that are going to come down and hang out, take some hacks. So it's going to be a good weekend down at the ballpark.
All right. Well, safe travels, and we'll look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
That is Charlie Meyer from the Lincoln Salt Dogs, and again, it's a long home stretch. So if you haven't gotten out to see the Salt Dogs, here's your chance. You've got 9 straight days of home games, all events going on every night. Player cards are going to be distributed Thursday. They've got the whole shebang. And remember this: get your perishables. Go into your cupboard. Even if you don't need the tickets, or go and drop off perishables down at Haymarket Park. You can do that. Any 3, and they'll get you a voucher for a future game. Go ahead and do that. It's stuff that's in your cupboard. You're not using it. You're not going to eat it. Get it down there to Charlie and the Salt Dogs so they can do their thing. Again, live here, Scott Frost just talked. Now Mike Loxley from Maryland is up on the big board. Harbaugh and Michigan are in point. Pat Fitzgerald, Kirk Ferentz, PJ Fleck. The order as such: Scott Frost just went. Loxley in Maryland now. PJ Fleck will be next. Kurt Ferentz, Pat Fitzgerald, Jim Harbaugh. We're working on being able to get you the audio from that as well. We need to be able to plug into what they're doing. But the people that we needed to get to weren't here when we arrived, so we can work on that for you as well. Lots to talk about there. Rashawn is back in the space. I want to pull him on because there's lots to talk about. Did you notice anything from Scott's time on the big stage?
The biggest part that I noticed is that I think he understands that he's got to get it done, that this year is the year. Other than that was probably about it. I didn't really gain any more than what I've got before.
Let me say this. So Tom Allen will come by and he will open up to you. And that's just part of the personality, and I get it. Different coaches will come by.
PJ Fleck.
Right? They'll share pieces of themselves. Yep. I hope that Scott Frost finds like some peace, some calm.
Yeah.
Some control, right?
Yeah. Some inner peace.
Yeah, I mean, because this is wearing on him.
Yeah.
Right? Am I
I think so. I think
right? Like I don't want to speak for him. I'm not speaking for him.
Well, I think it's just taxing because he's got to answer questions about offensive coordinators and
We're gonna
coaches.
bring in Eric Strickland. We're gonna put Strickland on the pipes as well. Let's bring in Husker Hall of Famer Eric Strickland. Strick Bay, how you doing, man?
Yo, listen, this is
Amazing.
it's
right?
been amazing. It's been amazing. Got a chance to talk with Quentin Newsom. Got a little soundbite quickly from Garrett Nelson. Set in on Scott Frost. Yeah, so it's been great to hear them be able to speak to us with regards to how they feel about what's coming up, how camp is about to start. Got some interesting information on the quarterback race. That it's still up for grabs. It's not locked and stocked as most people would have thought.
Can I say that doesn't make me feel better?
Me neither.
That doesn't make me feel better. Like I'm sorry. Look, you walk in this space, and in this space, again, the beauty of being here is to watch people walk in and present themselves in their form. Like this is who we are. Like that's why you're here. It's called Media Days, and whether you don't like it or not, it's Media Days. Like this is a presentation. This is how people are going to talk about you the rest of the year until you put games on the table. So when you tell me that you don't have that, the person that touches the ball and affects the game the most, you're not locked in on it. That makes me lean away. Like you went through a whole lot to get the dude, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't come for free, right? So there's a lot there to talk about. But we're gonna bring in. We're gonna get a lot smarter.
Can I
now.
grab you for 5 minutes?
We're gonna get a lot smarter. We're gonna get
The legend.
We're gonna get a lot smarter. So we're here for Sean Jackson, Eric Strickland, and now we're gonna bring in another goat. We're
Go.
gonna bring in another goat.
The legend.
Let's bring him in. Barry Alvarez, Coach. How in the heck are you?
I'm great. I'm really good, man.
This is thank you for doing this. First of all, flash that ring again. That
Oh yeah.
ah.
A lot of bling in here.
Come on, he modest, man. We from Nebraska.
He's
He's still Nebraska. I don't care. I can't even look at that. I see.
Well, that's question one. That's question one. When the Huskers go up or down, do you go with them? Is that in your heart still?
I root for Nebraska. You know, I spent 10 years in Lincoln as a player. I started my coaching career in Lincoln, got married in Lincoln. 2 of my 3 kids are born in Lincoln. Wow. And still have a lot of friends back there. So I root for Nebraska. I really do, except when they play us.
You didn't say us.
Coach, I got a question for you. DP, please jump
Go
in
ahead,
there.
man.
Okay, so I played in Nebraska. 97 was my senior year. Of course, Coach Osborne retired in 1997. I know you were able to be underneath, Coach's tutelage as far as football goes. Some of the plays and some of the things, did you take some of the stuff to Wisconsin from Nebraska?
I tell you what I took from Nebraska. I played for Bob Devaney.
Yeah. The great one.
And, the out-of-season program, Nebraska was the first team in the country to have a full-time strength coach when they hired Boyd Epley. Boyd was a classmate of mine. And the walk-on program. Back then, Nebraska, we had so many players. There were unlimited numbers in the Big 8 when I played. The freshman team had 75, 80 guys.
Yeah.
They had their own schedule. And spring practice, I can remember we used to scrimmage in shifts. You'd have 3 teams practice in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. We had 5 teams, offense and defense. Wow. So, and a lot of those guys weren't scholarship guys. They were guys trying to earn scholarships. Yeah. Well, that's one reason I liked Wisconsin, because there's one Division I school in the state like Nebraska. Even though Nebraska is a sparsely populated state, they like football, and the kids want to play there. Same thing with Wisconsin. I give them an opportunity. They walk on. They do well enough. You earn a scholarship, and so I built a walk-on program like Nebraska's, and then I based my whole thing on running the football, because I knew in Wisconsin we get big guys. We don't have a lot of speed there in that state.
Yeah.
But we got big palookas. And so I knew I could have big lines, and then we go out and find running backs and skilled players. But the thing I took more than anything else from there was how you run a program, being physical. That was my makeup, because that's way I learned it. And then the walk-on program.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because you're absolutely right. One of the biggest staunch type of runners that I've ever seen is just a bruiser was Ron Dane.
Yeah.
Like, how was you able to kind of say, because other people probably would have looked at Ron at linebacker or DN.
Fullback.
Yeah.
Fullback.
Right. So how did you come to the realization that, Ron is going to be my bell cow?
I watched film. Ronnie was highly recruited. It came down to us and he's from New Jersey, us and Ohio State. But we had taken some players from that school. I watched Ron, and it was a very simple high school film. And he was lined up about a yard behind the quarterback. And they'd turn around and they'd hand him the ball, and he'd mush it, and the line would move. But every once in a while, they'd give him a little room, and he'd get in the secondary. He'd run 4 or 5. He was 200. He showed up. He was 260.
Yeah.
He just won the high school, national discus and shot put out in California.
Wow.
And on his way back, he stopped in as a freshman, and my strength coach came up and said, "This cat weighs 265 pounds, and he just beat everybody in the 10-yard sprint. He had burst. He could run." And I told him when I recruited him, I said, "You like to carry the ball?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Man, it's not very heavy. I'm going to give it to you a lot of times." And I did. Said he carried the ball. There were games he carried 47. He went one stretch 47 times, 49 times, 51 times.
Ooh.
In 3 straight weeks. I wouldn't let him out of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
He put tapping his helmet. I said, no, one more first down. One more first down.
Because Coach, once they start hitting off a big run, they get a boost of energy, right? You know that.
Yeah. I just want another one.
Yeah.
Coach, this thing has transitioned. It's evolved and re-evolved. The conference itself has re-evolved. The style of play, and now the reach. Now it's California is included in this thing.
Now think back. Now, there wasn't long ago they were saying you're reaching to get Nebraska.
Right? Like this was as far west as it goes, and now it's California. For you, style of play, NIL, transfer portal, where does Coach stand on the state of the game?
You know what? I told before I retired, I told all my coaches at 23 teams at Wisconsin, I told them that I don't worry about transfers. That's your responsibility. If you recruited them, you were in their home, you met their parents, you see whether they're helicopter parents, you see what kind of kid he is. You brought him in here. You recruit him. If you can't build a relationship with a player where he doesn't want to let you down and wants to play for you, if you can't build that kind of relationship and he wants to leave, that's on you. That's on you. So if the kid's not happy, let him go. I don't have any problem with that. I really don't. The NIL, I was always for that, but you cannot allow it to get involved in the recruitment. If the kid's smart enough, I like what a lot of the schools are doing as far as teaching the kids how to market themselves, how to manage their money. You got to pay tax, which none of them understand that.
Right.
You do something for $1,000, you don't get $1,000.
Yeah.
They don't understand all that. So you learn a little business, you learn a little the way of the world, and you learn how to market yourself. Because I'm all for anything the kids, whatever you can do for the kids, you do it. I like it. I like where we're going. I think it's going to settle down. It's not about some of these schools and you're reading about kids signing and how much money they're going to get. Hell, you got to go play and make your name valuable.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to ask you, growing up, this is Jay Foreman, by the way. I'm a former.
Jay Foreman.
Right. I know, Coach. I'm not going to ask you why you didn't get
offer you
Alfred
a
with a scholarship.
scholarship.
I'm going to tell you, Coach. I didn't finally get Coach. Hey, I'm going to tell you, man. Hey, the former linebacker, I might want to come tackle you, but I didn't got over it, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm going to tell you, people out there. Coach Alvarez, I'm going to tell you, I grew up going against Carl McCullough. And I'm thinking, like, man, I did him in. Jason Sutter, I did him in. I wanted to go to Wisconsin so bad. And they ain't offering scholarship. But I want to ask you this, though. Growing up watching the Big Ten, right? How proud are you that the Big Ten went from like, oh, it's slow, and you probably knew it was better than what people would think back when I was in high school in the 90s to, I think, and me and DP argue, I think Big Ten is the best brand of football top to bottom. How proud are you? And talk about the transition of finally people understanding like what the Big Ten's been for probably 5 years prior to being
okay. That's okay. Anybody can think whatever they want.
Sure, that's true.
But then when you line up against a Big Ten school, at Southern Cal, the AD at Southern Cal called me. He wants me to go out and talk to his coaches about coming into the Big Ten. And I'm going to tell you what I will tell those coaches. I'm going to tell you what I heard when Penn State came in. We played Penn State, and the next week, middle of the week, it's on a Wednesday, I get a call from Coach Paterno. He says, you know what? He said, we haven't practiced since we played the game. We're so beat up after we played you.
Right.
And then you might have to turn around next week and play Iowa.
Right.
And they're going to do the same thing.
Right.
And Minnesota's going to do the same thing. And if you aren't physical enough up front, if you don't have defensive linemen that can hold up, you can't play in this league.
Right.
And then our guys are going to spread you out. They're going to throw the ball around.
Right.
But they're going to beat you up first. You're going to have to prove that you can stand in there and be physical enough to play.
Right.
And I'm proud of that. And so that's the thing. And then I just read about someone sent me a clipping from Omaha talking about, Nebraska hasn't been good in stopping a run since they've been in the league. And you wonder why they haven't done well. Well,
there it is.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the ultimate equalizer to these basketball on grass. Another thing I wanted to ask you about is when you talk about being physical, right? Me and VJ, we grew up, with Coach Osborne, so you knew how the practices were. Just talk about being physical. You can't just do it on Saturday. It's just like a way of life, and people don't understand it when I say it. Now, as a coach, you'll give your explanation on that.
I watch practice. I used to go. My guy, I'd go 20 minutes every day inside drill.
Right, that's it.
That's 7 on 7.
Mm-hmm.
And my coaches actually ended up getting upset with me. We got to back off. Let's just do X amount of plays.
Right.
So I'd go rapid fire.
Right,
I went
right.
ones, twos, just go rapid fire. Ones, going good against good. We wouldn't tackle, but it's full go for the line,
right.
and that carries over to the game. I go watch practices. I don't see anybody doing that. I can't even see the offensive line. I'm looking around. Where the hell are they?
Right.
I walk on my practice field. I walk on Nebraska's practice field. Those big hosses. That's the line over there.
Right.
I go some of these places, and I look around. Where the hell's the line?
Right. They all look the same. Tight end on down. Right. Yeah.
They all look the same. So that's the thing in our league. You're going to have to line. I don't care whether we run it. Our teams throw it around well enough.
Well enough, right? Yeah.
And we have some teams that spread it out, throw it. But to win this league, you better be physical, and you've got to be able to bounce back after playing a physical game because the next week you're going to do it again.
Right.
So I'm really proud of the football that we play here. I think our coaches in this league are outstanding.
Exactly.
I think top to bottom, every school. And you have outstanding coaches. And so I like the brand of football we play.
We're here with the legend.
Former Husker.
He's still a Husker.
Yeah.
He's just somewhere else. But, Coach, here's where we are. Ohio State has its place in the conference. Wisconsin, Michigan, Nebraska, all looking up or at least trying to achieve what they've achieved and take their place at the top of the conference on a regular basis. You're the coach. Take us in. How do you make that happen?
Well, I was the same way when I came in. So what I did when I took the program over in 1990, you had to beat Ohio State and Michigan. So I devised everything I did in the offseason and everything else, my style of play. How am I going to beat them? I'm not going to get as good players. I don't have access to the players Ohio State has. Yeah. You got good players in Ohio. They have a reputation and their brand. They can go all over the country and get the best players. I can't do that in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. In my state, I'm going to get 5 to 8 players a year.
Yeah.
So I got to go outside. So how are you going to do it? So I came up with a plan. We got to be bigger. I got to get linemen. We got to run the ball. We got to shorten the game. We got to hold on to the football, play field position.
Right.
and we have good success against them.
Styles make fights, right?
Yeah.
That also I wanted to ask you, and I talk about this all the time. How important is character to playing football, not only in the Big Ten or period, but especially at Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Because it's not California, and it's not the glitz and
It's
glamour.
not sexy.
But
actually,
you have
it
to.
is.
It is.
sexy.
Yeah, let me tell you.
Well,
I'm going to tell you.
be in you want to be in Madison.
Let me tell you
Wisconsin.
something.
Really?
I had.
I'm telling you. If
The,
you haven't
they
been there,
have
you
the.
want to be
Let
in
me tell you,
Madison,
when
Wisconsin.
Nebraska goes, I ate more bratwurst up there and had more spotted cow than I had in 2 years, and I had the best time ever. Nebraska got ran off the field, but I had a great time in Madison, Wisconsin. Right. Saw me, right. Did it again, right? But talk about character and how important it is to football, and that's the separator that will say, hey, a kid from a 5-star from Texas versus a 4-star from Illinois, and he goes to Wisconsin and takes off.
I always called us a developmental program, and I've had there weren't stars back when I was recruiting, but highly recruited kids come in. I didn't like them, or the players that hosted them didn't like them, because I'd always go to them. I'd talk to them Sunday morning. How'd they fit during the visit? Right. Did they fit in? Will they be good here? Did you like him? You want him as a teammate? They say no. Whoop. I'm out. We're not going to recruit them. Not going to offer scholarship.
Yeah.
We wanted people, and I went into every home. I knew who I was recruiting, what I was recruiting. I wanted good characters. I wanted guys that you want to be next to, guys that you trust, and that's part of our program. That's who we were, and I think Paul's done that. Brett did it when he was there with me.
Yeah.
So that's just part of the deal.
Coach, what made Coach Devaney great?
Coach Devaney, he was unique. Bob Devaney was ahead of his time in how he practiced. He had coaches that could go out and recruit. He was recruiting nationally. Back then, when I played, I didn't even realize this. I'm sitting here with 4 brothers. Okay,
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, we played Alabama 2 years in a row for the national championship. They didn't have. They hadn't integrated yet.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Right.
I'm driving home with a car full of brothers.
Right.
Harry Wilson had the car. It was his car and Tony Jeter. I'm driving back home. We're going back and forth, and I just thought that was part of the deal.
Yeah.
Right.
So we integrated at Nebraska when a lot of people weren't. Big Michigan State started. The head coach there, and that's where Coach Devaney started. They brought some guys up. They'd send some guys from the South. They'd come up there, and they integrated early. And Nebraska was open-minded, and we were integrated, and that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
but he was a hell of a coach. Now, the way we practiced, and he didn't put up with any nonsense, and we were physical. I mean, we were really physical.
One of the things, Coach, for me, I'm obviously all the football guys. I played basketball, and I played in Milwaukee, and I'm very with the Bucks, and I'm very familiar with the weather. And with you guys, how did you in your time get over that hump of getting them to come if they came from a southern state, or if they came, how did you get them to buy in? Because it's brick up there in the Milwaukee in the winter. So how did you get them to understand that?
I just told them, you got a couple months. I said, you go through football season. You got 2 weeks where it's going to be chilly.
Yeah.
But everybody else in the league is
doing their thing
as well, right?
Yeah, it's a couple of weeks. And I said, then you got a couple of weeks to make it to Thanksgiving. You got a break. Then we go to a bowl game. It's warm. And then you semester break. You go home for 3 weeks.
Right.
You come back. You tough out one more week. Then it's spring. That's nice.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Then you got the lakes, and you got all that stuff. So I just didn't make a big deal out of it. I didn't make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
And I didn't recruit many kids out of the city.
right. Also, if they have
I'm going to tell you something. If we recruited like they do now, and you could bring them in June, if I could bring kids in Madison in June, I'd be a hell of a lot better recruiter than I was back then.
We know we're smarter about it. Coach, first of all, thank you for sitting down with us.
Appreciate it, Coach.
This is exceptional. Before we let you go, I got to ask, if you could get in the ear of Scott Frost, with the Husker blood that beats in you, what would you whisper to him to help guide him?
That's really a good question. I follow them. I think they're really close. You got to play better defense, special teams. You gotta
Get better, right. You can't start.
You got a defensive end. You got a defensive end.
Get him out of here.
You got a defensive end on the edge who's giving you the thumb.
I think he's doing a great job. We got to get the athletic director squared away.
We got to get him set down.
Trev Albert's basically telling Coach Alvarez, get out of here.
Coach, how long will you be here today?
I'm here. I'm on the podium tomorrow.
Okay, so can we take a break, switch chairs, and then bring you back after we get this defensive end
You're gonna cut me off and get Trev in here. That's seniority. I got seniority.
Right. Yeah, you have seniority. Everybody in the room. Listen, this is a picture we have to take. Trev Alvarez will be next. We'll have Scott's audio. Coach Alvarez, you are a legend. Thank you for what you do. We're going to bring you back. We're going to beg you to come back later today. Stay tuned, Husker fans. Trev Alvarez next here on 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket's coverage of Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis is sponsored by Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group with BHHS Ambassador Real Estate and Gary Michaels Clothiers.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. You're listening to One-on-One with DP on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket's coverage of Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis is sponsored by Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group with BHHS Ambassador Real Estate and Gary Michaels Clothiers.
Shopping for insurance can be a tedious and frustrating task, but the agents at Brokers Insurance Agency will do the work for you. They have partnered with over 20 of the best insurance carriers in the nation, which allows them to do the shopping all for you. Whether you're looking for business insurance or employee benefits for your company, or you're looking to save money on your home and auto insurance, Brokers Insurance Agency has the agents and solutions to help meet your goals. Call 402-420-5353 or email staff at brokersinsurancenE.com.
These days, there are more reasons than ever to treat yourself to a great haircut at Great Clips with the online check-in app. So tell us, why do you check in?
I check in because I'm tired of hat hair. I check in because we all need a cut.
I check in so I can feel like me.
And I check in so I look good for you.
No matter why you check in, you'll check out with a great haircut and save time with our online check-in app. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Seasons change, but your land stays the same. You need the right solutions to keep you moving. That's why you rely on Acres Equipment, your Nebraska-owned premier John Deere dealership. Whether you're harvesting, protecting your crops, feeding the herd, maintaining your lawn, improving your business, or letting off some steam, Acres has what you need to get the job done. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order your Wingstop online at 28th and Superior, 50th and O Street, and 29th and Pine Lake.
Hey, Steve. Welcome to Great Clips.
Great Clips asks, what's the difference between good and great?
Come on back and have a seat.
Good asks you what haircut you'd like.
I have all your details from last time. Would you like the same haircut today?
Great already knows. With Clip Notes, we save your haircut details so you can get the same thing as last time, every time. Download our online check-in app today. Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
Hey, Mom. Yeah, I got in a crash. I'm okay. I was wearing my seatbelt.
People count on you to buckle up.
Click it or a ticket. Brought to you by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Baker deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket's coverage of Big Ten Media Days in Indianapolis is sponsored by Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group with BHHS Ambassador Real Estate and Gary Michaels Clothiers.
Back to One-on-One with DP. Sponsored by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Disturb list.
Welcome back. One-on-one is now full on. It's a party. We've got the boss. We want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. You guys are on the video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter live. We see you. Text line, thank you for what you've contributed so far. Let's bring in the boss, Athletic Director Trev Alberts. Kind sir, thank you for doing this. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm here because of Jay Foreman.
See, you just settled the dispute. You just set it on fire. Set it on fire.
Trev, you just made VJ poke his lip out. Remember when kids are young and they don't get some ice cream, they got the lip poked out. Look at him. He saw you just a mess.
Hey, he just salted me. The other 34 just salted me up for a black shirt. Listen, I can't be mad. They're black shirts. They stick together. That's what they do. Yeah. I can't be mad at that. But I'm glad you're over here anyway, big bro.
No, I'm here for all of you. I appreciate you guys.
This has been exceptional. Like to be in this space and to know that the leadership has a plan. Your presence changes the space. Like that's the thing that's obvious to me. That your people's response to you. What message do you have for Husker Nation as they sit on the eve of a big football season?
Well, I would just say I always start with this because it's real and it's genuine. Is that I'm just so grateful to all of our fans, and I'll tell you, I sat in a day-long meeting with all the other ADs, with Commissioner Warren, Big Ten leadership, as we're trying to, sort through and think through what the future looks like, and what does intercollegiate athletics look like, and it's challenging, and then we start walking through other issues, and almost every time these ADs talk about, well, Nebraska, I mean, the amount of respect that nationally people have for our fan base and for the way they support their Huskers is unparalleled. And I think sometimes when we live in the little bubble we live in, that we sometimes, if we're not careful, we take it for granted. And so first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to them. And we're going to do everything we can to not take them for granted. We haven't been perfect and we're not always going to be perfect, but we're going to try to do what we can to make sure. And part of that is playing the field. Let's be honest, right? I mean, we have to have a product that, I want Husker Nation to know that we have really good alignment in the university. There are no excuses. There's no politics getting in the way. I have a really strong relationship with Coach Frost, the assistant coaches. I think everybody is working really hard. We're likely to make some mistakes, but I think, there's been a lot of change. And it's going to be, this camp is going to be critically important to, you can have a lot of talent, but it doesn't mean you have a team. And so how successful are we taking a new group of coaches and a new group of players and creating a team where they love each other, they care about each other. Great teams play for each other, not just for themselves. And, I played for Vashon. And
he said that on air every day for about 2 weeks.
But my point is, and not trying to be funny, but in a sense, but that's what we did have. I mean, you really genuinely cared for the brother next to you, and so I'm really interested to see how well and how successful we are at that. And but I've been just really pleased with how willing administratively and our coaches have been to do some tough stuff and look at ourselves inwardly and say, hey, there's no guarantee that this will work, but there was a guarantee that what we were previously doing wasn't being successful. So it'd be unwise to continue doing the same thing. So proud of it.
I'd like to ask one question before I get out of the way and let the family talk.
Well, your family?
I'm the weird uncle looking.
Stop all that.
I'm the weird uncle looking in the window. Just
Uncle Rollo.
you know, yeah.
Uncle Rollo trip.
Right. This is you're special. You are special, kind sir. For everything that happens in space, you wear several hats all the time.
Mm-hmm.
A part of your competitive nature is what made you great. Your knowledge of football, your football IQ, your presence amongst elite athletes as well. How do you draw the line from the football guy and the administrator? Like, where's that line for you?
Well, it's hard, you know, and I often find myself thinking beyond the line, and I try to hold myself accountable to that. And a lot of times what I think about is I think about my bosses, and I think about the Board of Regents, and I think about even the governor, you know, and so, you know, if Ronnie Green, which by the way, he does not do, or Ted Carter, came to me and said, hey, you know, Trev, I'm taking a look at your executive staff here, and I'd like you to get rid of these people, get rid of that person. You know, I'd have a real hard time with that, because in a sense, it would be, if you don't trust me to run this department, then get rid of me.
Right.
And so at the same time, I think it's wholly acceptable, and they do that, by the way, for them to ask questions and to say, you know, have you thought about this? And so I've tried to take a similar approach. You know, I played football. I'm not a X's and O's guru guy. You know, what I played is a long time ago. What they're doing now is nothing. So I don't want to overstate that. On the other hand, I think, you know, as you build some trust and relationship with people, you can have honest, transparent, and authentic conversations. And, you know, I think some of the things that Scott and not just Scott, but Amy and Fred and the rest of our coaches are more comfortable. Challenge is the wrong word, but, you know, asking the question, why administratively are we doing this today than they were a year from, ago. So I think Scott and I think can have, and we have had more poignant conversations. They're not tension filled. They're just, hey, you know, why are we doing this? And, but that comes with time. It comes with trust, and trust goes both ways. You know, I'm seeking hard to earn the trust of our coaches. You know, I think the coaches have to work hard to earn the trust of administration. And when you do that together, you can have family conversations, and we're not always going to agree. And so, but they've been really productive. You can't make progress if you don't listen and talk to people.
Friction is required. It is absolutely required. Rashawn?
Oh man, you know, I'm gonna lighten the load a little bit, Trevi. Because how does it feel to walk back up? Was this here when you was here?
No, this is a real upgrade. We played. You don't know how old I am. I played on the turf that they zipped up. That was on the concrete, and the RCA dome was remember that dome, and they've come a long ways. Peyton Manning, he was pretty good to the Colts, and but no, it's wonderful. My wife's from Indiana. She got 2 degrees from Indiana. Got her law school degree here in Indianapolis. So her family still lives in northern Indiana. So a lot of great memories here, a lot of bad memories. I wish I wouldn't have been such a poor NFL player, but it's good.
If you would have had a long career in NFL, you wouldn't be here today.
That might be true. You know, God has a plan for all of our lives, and you just humbly accept it.
Right.
Do the best you can with what you got. You are.
Well, I want to tell you, thank you for taking it easy on me. Did you brother-in-law me when I was at Nebraska?
No.
Okay, I want to make sure that didn't happen.
VJ has always been easy work. You know, that's if you want to go up the depth chart, you just find VJ or Tim. I mean,
hold up, just hold on a minute. See, I was trying to be politically correct, but now you're gonna make me take the gloves off, Jay Foreman, because you've never been able to deal with me, sir. Ever in your career.
But this is how this is the beauty of how this works. Jay's opinion. They said between his opinion, your opinion. Now we'll get the right opinion, and we'll get it straight from Trev.
Yeah.
How did this go
He wasn't
down?
even there. He wasn't even in. He wasn't even in the building.
I can answer.
He wasn't even in the building.
One common denominator, which is VJ.
Mm-hmm.
We both have had success. VJ helped it, so we gotta help. We gotta
You never had success against me, sir. Trev, on the other hand, yeah, I was a freshman, true freshman. I taught you, young pup. Don't forget that.
No,
Trev, I wanted to ask you one thing. Just one.
BJ was a really good player.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a good mouthpiece. He always kept everything light.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, as far as recruiting, and then obviously with like coaches and stuff, and as the season goes, how important is like when you look at coaches, like it's not just wins and losses, because it's just as important in recruiting. We talked to Coach Alvarez about how much character is the essence of physicality. If you want to be a physical team, you got to have. It's got to be everything you do in life. So I just wanted to see how you guys how you navigate that, because that's got to be hard, because you got to always dig deeper into what really makes somebody tick in this day and time.
It's a great question, and I think it's one of the things that Coach Osborne, as he grew in his career as a coach, was really, really good at. I mean, he identified the right type of people. He knew it. He was the kind of player he was looking for.
Right.
Not everybody would have been successful at the University of Nebraska. And quite frankly, there were way more talented guys than me that weren't successful, because there was, to your point, a certain type of mindset and a certain mental, I think, acuity that was necessary. But I also think that's part of a young coach and his or her growth. I think when you look at what Scott has done, not only from a coaching perspective, but I think they've tried to make some changes, in the recruiting area. And, it's so hard. I can only imagine as a coach, and I've never been one, but if you're trying to build a program and you look at your roster and you're saying, hey, and you look at film and you see this young man and my goodness, he can run and he can jump, and you get lulled into the athleticism. That doesn't mean he can play.
Yeah.
And I think it takes security, it takes experience and wisdom. The world is full of, not just Nebraska, 5-star recruits who look incredible, who will end up with 7 career catches for 118 yards.
Right.
And so, so I think I'm gaining some confidence that I think we're growing in that area.
Right.
I'm certainly not suggesting that we're done, but a willingness to think differently in that area is going to be critical.
All right, Trev, this is the best question. I've been meaning to ask you this ever since the first time I met you, actually on my recruiting trip, or not after, once you got to the NFL. How was it when you interviewed Bruce Smith that time and he passed? Hey, Trev, I got to ask you. Because I was at that party the night before, and I watched it live. It was me and Mike Rucker. We were in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And Bruce Smith had his Super Bowl party at Atlanta Athletic Club. And we were literally I'd watch you all the time. I think you were on CNN then, CNN Sports. I got to give it to you. Hey, if you ever want to know if Trevor's composed under pressure, it was live, right?
Yeah, just let him fall.
Hey, it was live.
What happened? Give me the backstory.
Well, Bruce Smith, he had a party, a Super Bowl party. I left at 4. Bruce was still going. I don't know what time he interviewed with Trev the next night or day, but we were all recovering still before we were going to go out the next night. So we just flipped it on, and Mike Rucker, Jason Wiltz, all former Nebraska players saw Trev. He was working for CNN at that time.
It was on TBS.
Or TBS, excuse me. And he was interviewing Bruce, and Bruce was interviewing him. And I was like, he don't look right, And he literally just went over like timber. Boom. Trev looked at him, and then they panned back to Trev. He kept it cool. and then Bruce Smith said that he was dehydrated. I was like, bro, you wasn't dehydrated. I was with you all last night. I'm dehydrated. I wouldn't have fell out like that. So I just had to ask you, what was that like?
Let's do this. We'll run a quick stationary break. It'll take 30 seconds, and we'll come back. I do want to ask him about the Predators that we have on base.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Bath, he didn't do anything.
We're here with the boss and Trevor Alberts. This is what the comedy is. I know that this is what happens, and I appreciate you sitting in for it. The current edition of this Huskers team now has guys who play your position, who must at some level get you excited about the possibilities of having an O'Shawn Mathis, a Garrett Nelson, a Caleb Tanner, et cetera. What do you want for them? What would you say to them? They can change this entire program as you did.
Well, it's just interesting. You look back to those days, and Coach Samuel did such a great job of identifying, people in every single year. Man, I don't know when you had Jeff Mills, Broderick Thomas. I mean, it was every single year we had a first-round draft pick who got pressure on the quarterback, and it was a position that you really wanted to play because you knew it was important to the team. But I see some talent that can get pressure on the quarterback, and I think as you look at what the portal's been able to do, and you're able to identify areas of need, I think having a left tackle, having a quarterback, and having a guy that can get pressure on the quarterback is critical, especially in the Big Ten Conference. You have to be able to win one-on-ones. And I think Nebraska, and I think they've got other players too. I think across the board, they have a chance of getting some pressure on the quarterback. And if you can't get pressure on the quarterback, you just can't cover guys that long.
I need to ask you this professionally, because we at this station try to help maneuver NIL and all of the inner workings. And I just want to say this. If there is a way for us to help you with that, we are open to that, because I don't want to put you in a tough spot. That's not what we do. But I think the idea of you being able to hear your student athletes have voice, be heard, be seen, would be helpful to them. How are you maneuvering through the whole NIL responsibility, rebounding, resetting the GPS and such? How should we, because we want to follow your lead. So what is the approach, and what should we be looking at?
Well, first of all, thank you for the help, number one. Number two, I would just say, where we are today is light years from where we were 6 months ago. And this has been a space that's been really hard for me to understand. As I've said before, trying hard to thread the needle in, the VJ, if they were still players, I want to do everything I can to let them monetize their name, image, and likeness, and at the highest level.
Right.
I don't want to do anything that takes a tool out of the toolbox from Scott or Fred or John Cook.
Right.
At the same time, I'm kind of responsible for protecting the integrity of this brand.
Right. That end means something.
And so how do you thread that needle? Well, the problem is there's no rules. And, and there's really ambiguity around which rules still exist. It's one of the things we're tackling in the Big Ten Conference is how do we approach it? So we've got help, and I think we're slowly being more aggressive in that area. I've just taken the approach, I don't know if this is right or not, but we're never going to be first, but we're not going to be last. And so we're going to try to, just manage it. And I think we've, done a good job with it. But we're always looking, and I think we'll have some, within the next couple months, some additional resources and announcements that will help us in that space. But eventually, I think we're going to, as an association and as a conference, have to come up with some sort of, not to eliminate it, not to manage it, but we have to put, the big word was guardrails. I mean, how do we have at least some consistency around it so that we don't have one institution? By the way, California state law mandates certain things. They're now coming into our conference in 2024. So now politics enter into how we're handling this. So that's what we spent a day on yesterday. And how are we going to maintain some competitive equity? How do we create these opportunities for young people? And by the way, there's a Title IX component to it. We can't spend all of our time just getting these two guys NIL deals. We've got student athletes on the female side that we're focused on as well too. So a lot of work, but I think these types of things better positions Nebraska than the alternative structure that we'd currently had.
Trev, when you think camp is getting ready to open in the next couple of days, what are you looking for to say we took some steps forward in terms of practice?
Well, I mean, I think you want to see, you want to see a level of intensity. I mean, everybody's going to be focused real quick on the offensive line. The hardest thing for me, and back in my day doing a little bit what you guys were doing for 12 years, I learned a tough lesson. You can get yourself fooled by going to a practice because you think, that defense isn't very good. And all of a sudden you find out later the offense is really good after they start playing other people and the defense wasn't as bad as you thought. Or you can get tricked into thinking, this offense is really, really good.
Right.
Well, you've seen them against your own people. You haven't really, it's hard to make an evaluation until you get into the game. I think, I know there's some risk to play a conference opponent in another country in week 0. It's very true. But I think if I was a player, I don't know about you guys, but if I knew we were playing a conference game week 1, I'd have a different level of mindset and intensity. And I think that's to our advantage, given where we are as a program and the amount of change that we've had in the offseason. I think this is a good thing for us. Sure. I know there's risk, but so I'm looking forward to seeing, with Nebraska, effort, focus, mistakes that are made are corrected in the appropriate way. Focus on special teams. I saw a lot of it in spring ball. So you're going to see some change, and you're going to see some effort that'll look a little bit different. And you're going to see some people that, we've got a great opportunity. I know it's just us old guys, but I hope these young people understand the window of time is so narrow. Right. Man, take advantage of this. Right. Enjoy it. It's the greatest blessing in the world. You get to be a football player for the University of Nebraska,
right,
in the Big Ten Conference.
Bringing that attitude back is what we need. Yeah. You get to go to the greatest university and play for the greatest team in America. You can't change. You can't buy that anywhere else. You can't go to Wisconsin. Can't go to Madison and get that.
Nope.
What would you have done if you went to Madison? Jay Foreman? You'd have been getting whooped by Nebraska.
Yeah, eventually.
And Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
Trev, the elephant in the room is USC and UCLA and what it brings to the conference. From operations standpoint, it changes. Like you've got to replan, redirect, some new rivalries to create, even in other sports. And I don't want to lose it just on football.
Right.
That bringing in USC and UCLA brings in a whole lot more for a whole lot of other programs. What, in your mind, is the priority and focus when we here in Nebraska look at USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten Conference?
Well, first and foremost, the nice thing is we have 2 years to onboard them. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to start immediately. And one of the things we've talked about is, the Big Ten takes very seriously the core values in terms of and principles on who we are. And at the end of the day, and Kevin talked a little bit about this, at his press conference, is that while the world is changing and, will probably continue to change in terms of player movement and NIL and dollars and compensation, wherever that goes, at the end of the day, this is still going to be a conference that's really focused on student athletes and their health, well-being. The educational component is going to be really important, will always be important. So I think that, we're not concerned about that with UCLA or USC, but we're going to make sure that the Big Ten core values don't change. So you get 2 years to onboard them to make sure they're part of what we're doing. But there's just so much to sort through. There's our media deals. There's numbers of conference games, divisions, no divisions.
Can I sit in on that meeting? The media deals? Can we?
Well, I will only tell you.
Fly in the room, fly on the wall.
It's fascinating stuff. It's all good.
Yeah.
But I would just tell you, because I know, and I'll end with this. When I took the job in Omaha in 2009, one of the local successful business people, I will say, said, Trev, welcome to Nebraska. You're going to love it here. Nebraskans will expect and demand progress, but they hate change. So good luck.
And brother, put that on a shirt. Put that. I wish somebody giving me that right now. I wish somebody giving me that shirt when I got here. Like that would have told me a lot.
When you get into Omaha, it says, "Welcome to Nebraska." That's what you need to put there.
Put that underneath that.
Right.
So what I have talked about as much as I can, and obviously I can't, talk about everything, but I just want our fans to know, and I've talked about the amount of change. And, this is going to look different. It's going to feel different. We're going to be playing different folks. Travel will be different. It's already different with freedom of movement and NIL and 14 new players. So I just think for us, an institution that really values tradition, which I do too, making sure that we're open-minded enough to embrace, because the change, we're not driving or leading the change, but our ability to adapt to the change will be critically important in our ability to be successful. I've said it before. There's going to be winners and there's going to be losers that emerge out of this. And I feel a burden that my job is to do everything I can to help make sure that we're winners and not a loser out of this deal. And so that's where we're focused.
I know you need to get going. Success. If you could give me a description of Husker football and what it should be, what would that be?
Well, I just think it's a team that's reflective of Nebraskans and our alumni, and guys that used to play. I mean, and I'm not, when I say this, I'm not meaning to infer or imply that we're not there today. I'm sure we're going to have to make progress, but I just want it to be a team that, Nebraskans value hard work. They value doing the little things right, being fundamentally sound, playing for Nebraska, playing together, and never, ever, ever quitting, no matter what the circumstance is. I mean, you talk about people in Nebraska in our state, that, it just never ceases to fascinate me. We'll have a flood and, we'll have local farmers that lose their entire herd. They don't complain. They just pull up their bootstraps and go figure it out, and we do that in Nebraska, but we do it together. When the going gets really tough, we come together. And, I think, listen, I mean, we're in a state with 1.8 million people. There's a lot of strengths about Nebraska, but let's just be honest. We have some drawbacks too. Well, there's some strengths about USC. There's some drawbacks. They've got some challenges there too. Let's not get fixated on our challenges. Let's leverage our strengths and be who we are. And let's not be ashamed to be who we are. And that's not just in our programs coaching, that's administratively too. And so, man, I'm proud to be a Cornhusker. I'm proud to be a Nebraskan, and for all that entails. And what I think Nebraska is so special is you look at Omaha, you look at what Omaha brings, and you look at business leadership, and you look at just entrepreneurialism, you look at Lincoln, you look at Western Nebraska. We got it all. Right. We have a state that has everything that represents America. And our job is, and we can use Husker athletics to bring people together, not divide, but bring people together. I think we can be a powerful tool in that. And, but winning helps. And so we're gonna VJ said I had to do that, so we're gonna try to.
Hey,
it's the only reason why we brought him.
Just think how many sacks my man would have if he was on this team where they get to play all the time and didn't have to rotate with, the Dante Jones. And
that's true.
I look at these linebackers,
Dwayne,
and they talk about they playing 80 plays. I'm like, man, look, I remember going through practice and only playing Pacific or the team, and you're getting 12 plays and you get. They were like, oh, you get a series in the second half. Okay, cool. We go 3 and out. It's not even really worth warming up. They playing ain't the faint. Just imagine, right? Just imagine how many sacks that, I always tell people Dominican Sue was a bad boy, but if Jason Peter and those guys and Trev and Grant would get to play the amount of plays that they got to play.
But if you think if they played those amount of plays,
we wouldn't be winning.
Yeah, well, they might not have been effective, and then the depth wouldn't be. Yeah, the Jay Formans of the world that was number 2 your redshirt freshman year. Yeah, that guy that was number 2 out there. No, I couldn't. I had to take that back.
Couldn't resist.
If Matt, could you imagine the plays that you make? We take those plays away.
But if you imagine if you have the kind of depth,
yeah,
and talent where
you're just reloading,
where you're basically. Part of when I came out, I needed to come out because if you play every play,
right,
all out,
right,
it's okay to get a break, right? And we, Coach Sammy, we watched the film and he just go back. Are you sprinting here?
Right.
And you get every guy on defense sprinting every single play.
Yeah.
You need to rotate, but you got to have the depth to be able to do that.
Yeah. It'd be hard to do. It was hard to beat us because of that, though.
Yeah.
Kind sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for how you do it. That's important, and it matters. We
Other
appreciate
34.
You. Yeah, we appreciate this. Kind sir.
Big Red.
The first 34.
That is Trevor Alberts. We'll throw the more from Big Ten Media Days when we come back.
Media Days in Indianapolis is sponsored by Ben Bleicher of Professional Realty Group with BHHS